Warning! This video blog or vlog could contain harsh opinions and foul language. If you do not appreciate said content or material, well, you could just fuck right off. Greetings, internet people. RantingRamsay here. How are you all doing today? I'm not doing so badly. Today, we're covering a couple of topics, and we're going to try to do them relatively succinctly. And they're both very much related. Some of you may recently have watched theArchfiend's latest video, where he did about a 6.5-minute video where he was wondering what the attraction, not specifically for midnight releases, is, but the people who stand in line for hours on end prior to said midnight release, instead of, you know, catching a nap or something. And I have to be honest, I really don't get that. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I myself picked up Modern Warfare 3 for my 360 because my PlayStation is in the shop on a midnight release, but I didn't wait in line for more than about maybe 15 minutes. Now, out of sheer coincidence, I had the Tuesday, the release day, requested off of work, not because of Modern Warfare 3, but because I had both a vet appointment for one of my cats. That's right, I have a second one now. Anyway, and my wife had an eye doctor appointment, so we went ahead and requested that day off to get all these errands run at once. And then that was about 2 or 3 weeks later that I realized that that was the exact same day as the Call of Duty release. And so when I realized that, I was like, hey, I could pick it up at midnight and play until like 6 in the morning, catch a 4-hour nap, take my cat to the vet, catch an hour nap, take my wife to the eye doctor, bring her home, and play all freaking day. So I did that. And my experience was that because I showed up at the GameStop that I pre-ordered it from, it was about 12:15 when I rolled up into the parking lot, and there was a line about maybe 25 people waiting outside of the store. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So I go ahead, park my car, I get in line, and it takes me about maybe 15, 20 minutes to get through the line, get my game, which I'd already paid in full, and walk out of the store and go home and start playing. So if you're smart enough to set it up or get lucky enough that it happens like that, midnight releases are totally fine. But I have to agree with the basic bullet points that theArchfiend brought up in his video on this subject, and that's as I really don't understand why someone would stand in line for 4 hours just to make sure they have the game a few minutes earlier than the next guy. I mean, I understand, you know, you've been waiting and waiting, you really want to play this game. I understand. I really do. But, I mean, fuck it. You could either be waiting comfortably at home playing another game until you look at your watch and go, oh, I should probably go pick up my game now. Or you can stand out in the cold, if it's cold. If it's not cold, if it's a comfortable night out, then fine. But with very little entertainment outside of your cell phone. But then again, with the phones that so many of us have these days, you know. Anyway, but I understand the points that he's making. So, anyway, moving on to the other point that I was wanting to talk about in this video, which is actually basically thoughts and opinions on the game of Modern Warfare 3 itself. Now, I know that Modern Warfare 3 had received a lot of negative press heading up to its release when, number one, for Elite, which we will talk about, because I can and cannot understand why somebody would spend $50 on Elite. There's one thing that I can understand, and the other things I'm just kind of like, eh. But aside from that, Game Informer and other game reviewing magazines have been giving Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 a lot of shit in their recent issues because they claim or they don't think it makes enough innovation upon the series. And that's one thing that I'm always like really on the fence about either way, because I'm not sure how I feel about it, because when I get into a game series, it's the core fundamentals, the core gameplay, the core ideas and processes of the game that get me hooked in the first place. So there is the element inside of me that says, don't change the game series that I love too much. Obviously, if there are no innovations and no changes, and you basically are getting the same game 2 or 3 or 4 times over and over again, that can be very disappointing, unless the gameplay itself is that fucking engrossing that they don't need to change anything. Then you're golden. But most games are not like that. Most games need tweaks. They need upgrades. They need subtle changes to keep them entertaining and keep them viable in today's very amorphous video gaming market. So I can see both sides of the argument, but now that I've had a chance to play Modern Warfare 3 for quite some time, since I picked it up at the midlight release, I can't really agree with anything that these video game companies are saying right now, or video game magazines are saying right now when it comes to Modern Warfare 3 is just a carbon copy of Modern Warfare 2 with some new colors added, metaphorically speaking. I think that the game innovates and changes enough things to actually really satisfy that need for change. Now, that's, the basic fundamentals and mechanics and the gameplay we're talking about. Let's actually talk about the story. I really enjoy where the story is going. I myself have only devoted enough time to be about 25% of the way through the campaign at this point, but I always play these games on veteran first, so you can understand that sometimes, every now and again, it takes me a little while to get through the game because I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty mode first. For those of you wondering, the reason why I do that is because I always play the single-player mode first, so that when I get into the multiplayer, I've already been playing on the single-player mode on the hardest difficulty that it will allow me, so I already know how the game can be tough and unfair, or unfair. You know what I mean? Every game can be unfair. But, 25% of the way through the campaign, and I'm actually really intrigued at what's going on. It really does pick up right where Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 left off, and there are a few little surprises that people may not expect coming, and I'm only 25% of the way through the story, and I've already come across a couple of things that made me go, really? I thought, ... and which made me, at a later point in time, verify what I thought was true in the previous games. So, anyway, I don't see any negative. There's a few people that told me that they thought the Modern Warfare 3 story mode is actually easier than it was in previous games, and I gotta be honest, I don't think you're playing it on a hard enough difficulty level right out of the box if you think it's easy. I'm playing it on veteran, and the first sequence took me a moment to actually get through, but that might have been contributed to by the factor that I was actually probably a little drunk. Anyway, as it pertains to the campaign, I am totally satisfied. Let's talk about the multiplayer as briefly as we can. Of course, being that it's Call of Duty and it's brand new and everything, you've got so many little stupid fucking loudmouth, asinine, foul fucking mouthed, a little redundant, just these little shitheads playing this game that half the time when I do decide to take a brief foray into the multiplayer to take a break from the campaign, which I have done a couple of times, I plugged in my mic, cool, we're going to communicate, we're going to get this done, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to win as a team. And then about 5 minutes later, it's, fuck that, throw it on the ground, unplug it from my controller, and keep playing the game without a microphone, because of the stupidity that is inundating my ear hole. So, but other than that factor, the campaign, or the multiplayer, I find, is actually quite satisfying. It is just enough like and just enough dislike the Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, and the reason why I skipped over Black Ops, because you have to remember Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2 are made by two different studios, Treyarch and Infinity Ward / Sledgehammer, for Modern Warfare 3. And so they really are two different beasts, two different animals in that regard. So I do not compare the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer to the Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayer, because they are two different studios with two different ideas of what a multiplayer game should be. They are both holding on to the core fundamentals which Activision dictates. However, they have different ideas. So anyway, moving on to the multiplayer. Still learning some of the maps. I like the maps. Some of them seem really tough because they're open. Some of them seem really tough because they're closed. And some of them have a really nice medium. And what's really funny is actually a lot of these maps are kind of reminding me of previous Call of Duty Modern Warfare maps from either 1 or 2 in a lot of ways. Some of them almost seem like combinations of this concept from Modern Warfare 1's multiplayer map, this concept from Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer map. Let's mash them together and make another map. So that's an element that's intriguing to me. I'm really liking that. And the kill streak packages are nice. That before you have a whole bunch of kill streaks unlocked, you have the option of you have this package or that package. And that's nice. Instead of just giving you this like basic default, like these are your kill streaks, deal with it. You have a couple of different options, and then those options can be augmented. And so, you know, aside from the typical shit that I was talking about with the kids, the multiplayer is actually kind of enjoying. Of course, it's a very young multiplayer. It seems like it needs a few patches here and there. You know, there's a few little glitchy things. There definitely seems to be an element of host advantage, which you just can never get away from. But for the most part, I'm actually really enjoying multiplayer, and once again, don't understand where a lot of this criticism that it's getting is coming from. It just doesn't, to me, make a whole hell of a lot of sense, because the game is innovative, it is different, and it is entertaining to play. Is it the end-all, be-all, best shooter ever? Absolutely fucking not. Do I have an opinion on which one is? No. It has its flaws, but I don't think they're as great or as many as the game magazines and other reviewers are making them sound. Now, the last thing I want to point out is an extremely common misconception that me and a friend of mine have heard many times recently from people who hate the Call of Duty series and are on the Battlefield side of things. And they say, Call of Duty sucks and blah, blah, blah. And one of the arguments that was presented to me that I actually found asinine, it's like, this guy just is just crazy, until I looked up this exact argument online and was just like, wow, there are a lot of people actually saying this, and it is simply not true. Now, what this person was saying was that in Modern Warfare, unless you decide to pay for Elite or pay, you don't get anything other than like 2 maps and 2 guns, and that's all you have access to. Come on, people. That is simply asinine. That is not true. It is not true at all. I have not paid for Elite, and I do not intend to pay for Elite. And I've reached level 13 on multiplayer and gotten 25% of the way through the campaign, and have never once had any limitation to what I had access to outside of the leveling system. If it was a gun that I didn't have a proper rank unlocked to obtain, then of course I didn't have access to it. But the whole you only have access to 2 guns bullshit is absolutely fucking wrong on any level that it could possibly be wrong on. You have access to just as many guns as you ever have had in any Call of Duty game. You simply have to work to unlock them in multiplayer. The whole maps thing is also stupid. I have played on, you know, at least 5 or 6 different fucking multiplayer maps for this game in the only like hour and 30 minutes that I devoted to the multiplayer. So people who are hating on this game and spouting these unreasonable arguments about, like, we only have access to this unless you pay for it. No, you pay for Elite. And what Elite gives you is a very few limited things. I know I said I was going to get to this. Sorry it took so long. Number one, the primary thing that Elite gives you is all the DLC for the game for free forever. It is not a discount plan. It gives you the DLC for free forever if you decide to pay for Elite. That is kind of nice, because you pay $50 and you never have to pay for downloadable content. You just get that content. It's kind of like SOCOM Pro with the addition of having to invest in it. It also gives you access to real money tournaments, which I never intend to enter because I'm really not the greatest player of these games. I enjoy playing them, but I'm like in the middle range. Sometimes I do absolutely great and people can't stop me. More often than that, I get my ass kicked or break even, one of the two. So the money tournaments holds no interest in me, for me, because I don't really think that I would be able to make any money off these tournaments. It would just turn out to be a huge fucking waste of time where I could just upload a video here. Elite also provides you with basically a social networking website. And that's it. Those are the three major things. It gives you free DLC, gives you a chance to win money in tournaments, real money, not in-game money, not Microsoft points, not PlayStation credit, real fucking money. You can win that through tournaments, access through purchasing Call of Duty Elite, but I have the feeling unless you're one of those master gamers with no fucking life and can master and play any game perfectly the first time you pick it up, you're probably not really going to win any money in these tournaments. So don't get your fucking hopes up. But anyway, so all the rhetoric and the bullshit and the false accusations about Elite have turned out to be completely and totally untrue. I have not paid for Elite, and I have had no limitation in playing with other people, looking at my stats, kills, deaths, gun, weapon stats, all that good shit. I have access to that without Elite. All Elite does is, number one, give you free DLC. Number two, give you ability to enter into free or real money tournaments, and number three, give you access to a social networking site. Is basically all it is, like the Call of Duty version of fucking Facebook. That's it. Alright, this video is at least fucking 10, 15 minutes long at this point, so I better go ahead and cut it off. But there you go. There you have it. I agree with theArchfiend. I don't understand why people would spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours standing in line on a midnight release when I showed up at 12:15 and got my game in 15 fucking minutes. Don't understand why people would wait that long. And number two, I don't understand where most of this criticism of Call of Duty is coming from. I understand that people think that every game should be a massive leaps and bounds steps away from the one that came before it, but I think that people also forget that it's a fucking industry, which means it's designed to make money, which means they're going to keep the product as close as they can to the previous version with enough changes to keep people happy to make fucking money off of it, and that's exactly what they've done. What's the fucking problem? I'm RantingRamsay. That is all.
Hey, did you get all that, man?